As we started to talk about our voters and how the voters keep track of all this information, we put together a questionnaire. Each and every one of the candidates was invited to respond to it. And fortunately, all of you have, except for one. What we did, as you can imagine, is really put together an organized format. So the voters, that is our club members and caucus members, would have a better roadmap to understand who was running for judge. These were folks who oftentimes admitted that they got to the part in the ballot where the judicial candidates' names appeared and had no idea who was who. But the point is that we're all together with our members in the webinar section of our event and watching and listening, and also have access to those questionnaires that you sent back to us. Joyce is our judicial expert, having been a judge and a lawyer, and knows her way around the courtroom.
The circuit court judges do felony criminal, civil over 30,000, probate, juvenile, and family. There's some other specialty courts in there, but I'm not going to go through too much. County court is the misdemeanor criminal, and civil cases under $30,000. The reason I'm going through most of this now is they have to refrain from any political activity. All of the judges are running that you see in groups. Each one of the judges has a particular group number. There's 58 circuit court judges in Broward and 32 county court judges.
I wanted to talk about one more thing, and that has to do with the questionnaires. The person who did not respond was Melissa? Meredith Chaikin-Weiss in group 27. So if you're in group 27, you have an opponent who has not responded whatsoever.
And I called and called and called.
Yes, we both have, and emailed and so on. She also declined. She did respond by email to attend, but declined. The questionnaires will be available on Google Docs. If you'd like to download those questionnaires, you may do that. Now let's begin. And the most important of today is what you want to say without any interruption, and that is a way for you to introduce yourself in 2 minutes. We have incumbent Judge Frank David Ledee. Welcome, Judge. Glad you're here.
It is a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this all day. It's a unique experience because truly for me, it is the fact that this gives me the ability, and gives all of us the ability to build a partnership between the judiciary and the voters, and educating the voters about who the candidates are. A little about me. I first came to the United States. I'm from the Caribbean originally, but I first came to the United States in 1976. I went to Florida Air Academy. I did 3 years there. I did my bachelor's at Barry University, my master's at Barry University, as well as my JD at Nova. Right after graduating from law school, I went and I joined the state attorney's office. And I've had a tenure of about 24 and a half years before being appointed to the circuit court bench. I'm the incumbent in group 27. I love my work. I truly enjoy it. I'm on the bench at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I just left there a few minutes ago. But as a prosecutor, I served as probably the longest chief of the gang prosecution unit, as well as the commander and coordinator for the multi-agency gang strike force. I was also involved in terrorism investigations, post-bomb investigations. I've done it all as a prosecutor, and I've truly, truly enjoyed the work that I did there. I've been a public servant, and I've been in Broward County the entire time. Most recently, I spent 2.5 years as a commissioner for the South Broward Hospital District, and I was a commissioner for the Memorial Healthcare System. So for me, being part of Broward runs in the veins. So I'm really looking forward to this. I truly appreciate this, and I appreciate the opportunity to educate the voters. And I look forward to this election.
Great, thank you, sir. Now, we're at group 27, and we have 3 folks who are on the ballot, one of whom is missing. And I would have asked Meredith Chaikin-Weiss the following question. One was, why did you not respond to our questionnaire? Which she didn't. And the second one would be, why should voters elect you when you seem to be missing in action? And I'll leave it at that. Judge Frank Ledee, who I read over your questionnaire, Judge. I had such fun reading it. First of all, let me just make a comment that I wrote as a note. Your experience as an assistant state attorney spans several years, including major cases, anti-gang, gun violence, child abduction, terrorism, and domestic security. I was worn out by the time I finished reading your questionnaire. So here's my first question. Do the trial cases seem boring after all that drama?
No, not at all. Not at all. I first, I'm very passionate about what I get to do. And when I first came into the foreclosure division, it's just funny because I had Ron Brown as my teacher in property. And I remembered everything he taught me 25 years ago. And I walked on the bench, and that first day on the bench, I turned to the lawyers and I said, ladies and gentlemen, please, you will never insult me. Please educate me. If you see that I'm doing something wrong, I'm open to suggestions. And I've maintained that throughout the time. My experience as a prosecutor, I've seen the best and the worst in people. I can tell you that my last trial involved the Spider-Man shooting, the Spider-Man birthday shooting, where I was prosecuting 5 people for the murder of a mother and her 6-year-old on his birthday, at his birthday party. So that is at the worst. And then at the same time, as a gang chief of the gang unit, there are many times where there were kids that were involved that had an issue. And what I did is I said, okay, fine. Yes, they've committed a crime. But instead of charging him and taking him, putting him in jail, what I did is I brought him home to their parents, or I brought him home, actually, preferably to the grandparents, because I knew the grandparents were going to take care of the problem. So it's called discretion. And that's something that I pride myself on. As a circuit court judge, I can tell you, Judge Bailey highlighted something that I love to do. The adoptions, absolutely, because I have on my bench a bunch of little stuffed toys. And when parents come in for an adoption, I take one of those, I give it to the child, and I tell them the same way that your parents are going to love you, they're going to care for you. This is a little friend that you need to do the same for. That is passion. That's something that makes a difference. And you know what? Those kids hug those little toys, and it makes such a difference in their lives. That's why I love what I do.
Well, that's obvious. Now, I have another question, actually. After being worn out looking at all the kinds of cases that you had prosecuted, why is that important when you said you highlighted the importance of creating an atmosphere of cooperation and reason in your courtroom? Why is that important, and what experience do you rely on to create that atmosphere?
I'm incredibly proud of the fact that when people walk into my courtroom, they're going to be greeted by 2 greetings. One, to whom do I have the pleasure? Or if I've seen you before, welcome back. I hope that I can help you today. And the thing is that they know when they walk into my courtroom, I'm going to treat them fairly. I'm going to treat them with respect. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to follow the law. And I'm going to rule whenever it's appropriate, right there and then. Nobody's going to leave my courtroom without understanding what happens. But there's a difference. What I do as a judge, it is incredibly important that I empower the litigants to solve their own problems. That means that they're vested in the outcome. And if they're vested in the outcome, they're more likely to follow through with the solutions that have been prepared. That's the key to being a great judge. As long as you can get people to agree, to work through their problems, to solve their problems, that I've done my job that day. And that's what I look forward to doing every day.
Thank you, sir. Frank David Ledee, will appear on the ballot. Judge Ledee, if you'd like to give us a summary, we would appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It has been truly a pleasure. And I can anticipate all of the, I was just really looking forward to this. And the reason I was is because of all the votes that are going to be cast in this election. The most important votes are going to be for your circuit and county judges. And the reason I say that is that out of all the elected officials that you're going to encounter, the decisions that are made every day by your circuit and county judges are the ones that are going to have the most effect on your families, your friends, and your neighbors. And that requires that you become really well educated about your judges. This type of forum is a fantastic way of doing that. And it really brings something to the table that no other way, you're not going to get this information any other way. I can tell you that everyone has said about public service. For me, I get up in the morning and I can tell you that walking into that courtroom, I often tell my litigants that I'm running away from home because my wife and my son are working here at home and I get to go and work at the courthouse. But I've been in public service for now close to 27 years. When I was a commissioner for the South Broward Hospital District, I can tell you the decisions that I helped take saved lives now during this COVID-19. I can tell you that the decisions that I take every day on the bench help save children and help save other folks. That makes a difference. To me, that makes a difference as to what I do. I love what I do. You can clearly see that. And I truly appreciate having the opportunity to do it. I look forward to the election because I look forward to your vote. And I hope that I can count on your vote. It means that you're investing in that relationship of trust between your judiciary and the voters. That makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I have to tell you how proud I am of every one of you. And again, as I said at the introductions, taking on the challenge of public service is a great honor, but it's also one of those things that for those of us out here in the community, we so appreciate that you take that step and work to make our community even better.